This is 4.3 part 2. So here we're going to look more in depth about intercepts. So I mentioned them briefly in the last video, but we're going to look at them further now. So there's two intercepts. There's the x-intercept and there's the y-intercept. The x-intercept is the point at which the line crosses over the x-axis. Okay, so the x-axis is this. It usually is labeled with a little x next to it, so this axis. So here, this point where it crosses over is represented by a point a comma 0, a meaning any number. Then we have the y-intercept, the point at which the line crosses over the y-axis. So for example, this is the y-axis. So this point would be the y-intercept, and it's called 0, comma b. Okay. Remember that this is our x and y. So when you have the x-intercept, there's a number. The letter represents a number. It could be 20, for example, is in the x position, and the zeros in the other position. Here we're looking at the y-axis, the y-intercept, so the number is in the y position. Okay, so there are 3 different examples of intercepts. We will 99% of the time be dealing with this one. So you can have one intercept here, so not only if you have a straight line. So here is a straight horizontal line. It crosses the y-axis at one place and one only. Does never crosses the x-axis. Here we have only an x-intercept because it's a vertical line and it only ever crosses the x-axis. Here, most lines that we're going to look at have a y-intercept when it crosses over the y-axis, so right here. So if we wanted the y-intercept, we'd find the y-axis, we'd go down to the place where it crosses, and we'd read the number. If we wanted the x-intercept, it's right here on the x-axis. You can also have infinite intercepts, so this is a straight line that happens to be directly over top of the x-axis. So this straight line goes here, so you have infinite intercepts, or you could have a straight vertical line going on over the y-axis. Okay, so that would be infinite as well. Very, very rare. So in this case, it's the line lays directly on the axis. Okay, so we can find our graph to find the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. So if we're going to do that, the first thing we need to do is actually graph whatever they've given us. Okay, so here it says determine the x-intercept and y-intercept of the linear equation with the slope of this going through point here. So you've just done a whole bunch of graphing practice. So that's what you're going to start with. You're going to start with your point, and we're going to plot that first. So this is at 4, 3. So we go to 4, then up to 3. Okay. And that's going to be our starting point. Then we have our slope of 3 over 2. So both of those are positive. So 3 up, 2 right. Or if I wanted to go the other way, I could do 3 down and 2 left. So I'm going to go 3 up. Oops. 1, 2, 3, and 2 to the right, 1, 2. So that leaves me right here. So I don't want to go further up than that. I want to go the other way now. So I'll go 3 down, 1, 2, 3, 2 left, 1, 2. I'll do, oops. Here. Do my next point. Then I'll go 3 down again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There's another point. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay. And then I can draw a straight line through these points with a ruler. Do my arrows because these keep going even off the graph. And now I can find my intercepts. So the first step is graphing the same way you would before. Now I'm going to read the information off the graph. In this graph, it labels the axes for me. So it tells me this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So my x-intercept is going to be, I look over here, okay, this is the place where it crosses through. It's a 2. This is the x-intercept, so the value goes in the 2 position with a 0 next to it. And then for my y-intercept, okay, I'm going to look at my y-axis. So here we have -3, so that's going to be in the y position. So we go 0, -3. Okay. Whoops. So this is my final answer for this question. This just says if you want to go plot a point in the other direction, change both directions of the slope. So this is just saying if you wanted to go from here to here, make sure you don't just change the top. You have to change the direction of top and bottom at the same time. Okay. So I'm just going to circle where these were. So here and here. This is my x-intercept. This is my y-intercept. Okay. So this next question says, determine the slope of a line that has an x-intercept of 4 and a y-intercept of -1. So in this case, this is telling us that since it's the x-intercept, it's going to be in the x position and the other number is going to be 0. And here this is the y-intercept, so that means we start with a 0 and then we have a -1. Now we want to find the slope. So anytime we're going to find slope and we have 2 points, we're going to label our points as x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we're going to use our formula m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we can put our numbers in. So we have -1 minus 0 over 0 minus 4. We get -1 over -4. Here we have a double negative, so those are going to cancel each other out, and we get 1 over 4 as our final answer. Okay, so for your homework now, you're going to do page 173, number 2, the left-hand side. So in this case, you're just reading your graph. So the first thing you're doing for these questions is you finding the slope. So you're counting in between your points, and then you're reading off your graph what your x and y intercept is. So x-intercept where it goes over the x-axis, y-intercept where it goes over the y-axis. If it's not perfect, it's not a perfect point. So let's say, let's just pretend. Let's say that your axis happened to go through here. Okay, so it's not perfectly going through the grid on the axis. Then in that case, you estimate what you think the x-intercept would be. So let's say it looks like it's like a third of the way, so you can estimate it as 0.3. Okay, if it was like over here. So if it doesn't go perfectly through, keep in mind that you can do that. So that's number 2. Number 5. On number 5, you're doing this. Okay, they're giving you a point and a slope. You're going to graph that, and then you're going to write on the side what the x and y intercepts are. And then in number 6, you're doing this, okay, where they give you 2 intercepts and you have to use the slope formula like this to find the slope. Okay, and that is the end of section 4.3.